The recording in progress. I already knew that. Anyway, so we are about to start the webinar here. Let's see here. We're going to admit and welcome to the webinar, Chris. Turn on. I'm going to close that down. So, welcome to the Power of the BI Thursday evening webinar, Thursday morning, depending on what part of the world you are in. So, those of you guys out there that are out there on Instagram, if you're out there on Instagram, what I need you to do, or if you like to, you can go to the link in the most recent post that I just posted. I just posted it probably about no more than about 15 minutes ago, but I just posted a post, the most recent post that I have, and it has the link to the webinar. I know you needed to register. A lot of times we don't like to take instructions or read directions, and I get it. That's okay. But anyway, so here's the deal. I am Tarod Robinson, and I look a little darker than usual, but I guess we'll take that. So you can go to the link and you can go to the link. For those of you guys out there on Instagram, you can go to the link and you can register. Let me turn this heat off. You can go to the link and you can click the Zoom link and you can log into the webinar. And I will try to keep an eye on who is here and who is trying to get in. If I get stuck, just send me a message and I will we gladly go out there and get you logged in to the Zoom. But again, we are running right now at about 7:36. I made a promise before that we're not going to go past 9 o'clock, and we're not going to go past 9 o'clock, guaranteed. I just want to get out here and give you guys some information on Power BI and who I am about Power BI, what I do, and what Power BI does. But we've got to get into how did I even get into this to this realm of data. So here's the deal. Let me share my screen because I'm about to start talking, and I was about to start talking and did not share my screen. Let's see. Here we go. Right here. Okay. Screen is shared. So my name is Tarod Robinson. I am a Power BI developer. I am actually certified by Microsoft as a Power BI developer, certified Power BI developer, certified Power BI developer, certified data engineer, certified um, artificial intelligence associate. I'm sorry. With all that said, what does that really mean? That means nothing. That means nothing to me. Well, kind of sort of. It means a little something, but really, it means nothing to you. Okay, it just gives you an idea that I do have some knowledge of the game. But at the end of the day, what I like to tell my students is this: or tell anyone that I work with or anyone that's associated with, when it comes to certifications, certifications is the icing on the cake. It is the icing on the cake. It's kind of like it's kind of like working in an industry for 15 years and then you're trying to get a promotion, but they say, oh, well, you need a college degree, or oh, you need a master's degree. That college degree or that master's degree really doesn't mean anything about you being able to perform on the job. It just means that hey, it's icing on the cake. So at the end of the day, these certifications, what they really mean is that it's icing on the cake. Now, um, when I say icing on the cake, can it add another $10,000, $15,000 to your base pay? Yeah, it can. So, it may not be icing, it may be some ingredients that I missed out on. But at the end of the day, the most important thing about Power BI is understanding what Power BI is and how to do the work. If you can do the work, you can make six figures. I don't like to use that term six figures lightly. I don't like to make it seem as easy as it sounds. Let's see. I don't like to make it. I don't like to. I don't like to make it seem as easy as it sounds, that I'm trying to make it, oversimplifying it. You can make six figures um, if you are working in Power BI. I'm sorry. Let me look at one thing here. BI. Okay. I got my phone turned around for the guys on Instagram. So if you're on Instagram, you can go to the most recent post. You can go to the most recent post and you can follow. You can click the link. It's the actual Zoom link to the webinar. But I don't like to oversimplify it because it's really kind of unfair. I have been working in the industry for a while, and it's kind of unfair to make it seem that simple. But at the end of the day, really, it really is that simple. Especially if you got someone that's that's working with you to get you where you need to be. So now, with that, how did I get into Power BI? Have I always been in tech? Have I always been into data? The answer to that is no, absolutely, absolutely no. I've had a lot of lives over the past years, a lot of entrepreneur ventures, a lot of different types of jobs, a lot of, I guess, finagling my resume to try to make more money, to try to get different positions, to try to get more money, whatever the case may be. Uh, the entrepreneur ventures kind of work, but the finagling my resume, I've never been successful at finagling my resume. What do I mean by that? I mean, no matter what kind of fancy terms I put on my resume, no matter how many degrees I put on my resume, no matter um, how much I paid someone to recreate my resume, I just wasn't that successful when it came to moving through corporate. When it comes to um, having descriptions created for a resume. With that said, I'm not knocking degrees. I have a degree, got multiple degrees. Okay, I'm not knocking working in corporate and moving up the ladder. That's all fine and dandy. What I'm saying is, that just didn't work for me. Let's see here. So, where I'm going with this is there are a lot of different areas in which we try to increase our productivity, or we try to increase our visibility and productivity. And we do that by creating resumes, and we put the resumes out there. And sometimes we get jobs and sometimes we don't get the job that we're looking for. With Power BI, Power BI is this. I'm going to give you this. It's a secret. Don't tell nobody else. This is a secret, right? It's probably the most in-demand tech skill that's out there right now in corporate. Okay. The reason why is because of big data. Big data is the large amounts of data that's moving through corporate America now, moving through not just corporate America, but just moving through business America now. And basically, at the end of the day, everyone has data, but nobody really has. Well, many businesses they have the data, but they don't know what to do with the data, or they have the data, they know what they want to do with the data, but they don't have anybody to work the data, to build out the power, to build out the reports, the data reports. Now, I say nobody. I mean, I use that loosely. It's not just like that, but I mean, it's thousands. There are thousands of Power BI jobs that are out there, and we're going to get into that. We're going to get into some of that. We're going to get into some of what it takes to get into the industry. That's just a little bit about me. That's just a little bit about Power BI. Now, for those of you guys that are out there on Instagram, again, I do apologize, but I have my phone turned around so that my words don't read backwards, and I'm actually videotaping myself from my phone with not being able to see my screen. So if you're out there on Instagram, you can go to the link in the most recent post. It's the most recent link, and I've got the Zoom link in the most recent post. Just click it, and I'll try to get you logged in as we go. So let's see here. Dun, 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 dun. How did I really move into Power BI if okay, we got something going on here. Okay, let's try this. There we go. Here's something a little different. So how did I get into Power BI if I've got no technical degree and no experience in data? Um, and I just didn't. I had no clue of what was going on. Long story short, here's the deal. I had a friend. My friend knew that I was looking for something different. And when I say looking for something different, I'm very clear. I'm very clear about what I say I'm looking for something different. To me, looking for something different, I'm looking to make more money. Now, I'm not. I've said in many of my posts, I don't want to make it seem to you as money is everything because it may not be everything to you. You may be looking for a different environment, a remote environment, a hybrid environment, working on site. You just don't like your manager, looking for a new manager, whatever the case may be. When I say I'm looking for something different, I'm looking for more money. Okay, so I had my friend knew that I was looking for something different, and he brought me this idea. He said, "Hey, say I found this course online, and I think it'd be good. I want to check it out." And basically, when he brings it to me, it's kind of like, if you do it, I'll do it. And I was to the point. It was like, I'm not doing no more school. I'm through with schooling. I don't want to learn that else. I'm good with learning. And he was like, dog, he said, you might want to check this out. This guy is saying you can make $80,000, coming right out of the course. Now, if I say I can make $80,000 and that enticed me, while I was interested in that, making $80,000 coming right out of the course, the reason for that was I wasn't making $80,000. Okay. Now I previously had a construction business, and I did make that kind of money, but I wasn't making that money, on my day-to-day job. So with that, my antennas went up. So you're telling me that if I take this course, I can make $80,000 coming out of this course. How long does this course take? He told me, he said it's about a 4 month course. I say, what? I say, man, that's crazy. It's got to be a scam. Somebody's got to be trying to take your money. You're gonna sign up. Hello? I said it's got to be a scam. iPhone 142 Tracy, were you trying to say something?
No.
Okay, sounds good. So I said it's got to be a scam. A 4 month course, 16 weeks, and they're telling me I can come out making, $80,000 in 16 weeks, 4 months. Bottom line is, after going back and forth with him over about 3 to 4 weeks, I did end up signing up for the course. Now it's not the same course that I teach, but I'll tell you, it led me into what I teach now. And I'll tell you, it was a game changer for me. It was a life changer for me, even though I never really played in the field of what that course was. So that course it was a SQL course. It was a coding course. And in my mind, I'm like, dude, I do not want to code. I do not want to, sit down and code for the rest of my life. $80,000, it's just too much thinking. I don't even want to get into that. If you're out there on Instagram and you are chimed in, but you want to log into the Zoom, you can go to my most recent post, grab the link, and you can log into the Zoom. So I said, I do not want to code. I just did. Well, bottom line is it was a coding course, but it was a big data coding course. It was a SQL course. And if you're familiar with SQL, it's just a coding language, but it's more of a data coding language. It's probably one of the easier coding languages to learn. It's not like a Python or C++ or something like that. It's fairly easy to learn. But I didn't know that. And I was like, I'm not trying to do that. But at the end of the day, I did end up signing up for the course. So the guy that started the course, he was teaching the course, and he said, "Hey," he ran the game down. He said, "Hey, I created this course, um, and basically I created all the modules for the course. So I know that it's a 16-week course, but it can be completed in 8 weeks." I was like, "Whoa, 8 weeks?" I said, "Cool." Now I'm very competitive, so I said, "If it's 16 weeks, and he said it could be done in 8, I want to do it faster than 8." Well, I ended up spending roughly about 9, 10 hours a day. It was me and another classmate. We're still pretty close now. We communicate and we share a lot of information when it comes to the business that we're in now, the companies that we're in now. So what I ended up doing was I put the teacher, the coach, the creator of the course to the test. And I spent like 19 hours a day. 16 weeks, I had it down. I say, look, I say they're saying it's about 2 weeks. I mean, 2 modules per week. I can get it done in 16 weeks. If I do 4 modules per week, I can get it done in 8 weeks. And if I do more than 4 modules per week, I can get it done even faster than that. But bottom line is, it wasn't that hard, but it wasn't that hard, but it wasn't easy enough for me to say, hey, I can get it done in less than 8 weeks. But bottom line is, me and a friend, we ended up getting it done in 8 weeks and 2 days. Right at about eight. I think I did it in 8 weeks in a day. She did it in 8 weeks and 3 days. And we were comparing notes, and we were sharing homework, to be honest. And at the end of the day, we was like, yo, we gotta make this money, dog. We gotta make this money. So I said, cool. We got out there and we made, well, let me back up. So we finished the course in the 8 weeks. That prepared us to be able to really make the $80,000. When it came down to it, and I put the resume out there. It was like, yo, I started getting calls. And I'm like, man, I don't know what to do. Right? I'm like, what if I get on the job and I get stuck? What happens if I do this? What happens if I do that? What if I get out there and I take the job and I quit my job and I take this job? But at the end of the day, now I don't know what I'm doing. I get stuck, and they find out that I don't know what I'm really doing. And now I don't have my other job that I've had for a number of years. Now I've lost my job, right? And we all know what happens when that happens. So, long story short, the creator of the course pretty much had created a network of individuals that had gone through the course before. So if we were to get on the job and to get stuck doing something that we've never done before, we had a bat signal that we could reach out to fairly quickly and get some assistance from either the creator of the course or other individuals that were within the mentorship. I was like, yo, that's a pretty cool little concept. Long story short, that's kind of what I did. I created a very similar program. Now, the program that I created is not a SQL program. It's a Power BI program. I call it Power of the BI. Now, the reason why I ended up creating the Power BI program, getting into the Power BI program, is because in his course he touched on a subject which was SQL Server Reporting Studio. They call it SSRS, SQL Server Reporting Studio. Basically, SQL and SSRS. Well, not all SQL. So we'll say SQL Server Reporting Studio is a Microsoft product, and it's a reporting product. So you're creating reports. Power BI was the next level to the reporting. Was the next product that was coming out. Long story short, Power BI was the artificial intelligence of that time, which is still pretty much artificial intelligence of business. But no one had really gotten into or really heard about Power BI. But I was given that SQL Server Reporting Studio was a Microsoft product, and the Power BI was being promoted on a soft scale by Microsoft. I heard about it. I got inquisitive, and I began to start learning it in the very early days of Power BI. With that said, I was like, I don't really want to do SQL, and I don't want to do SQL Server Reporting Studio if I can do Power BI. So what I ended up doing was I took my knowledge of SQL Server Reporting Studio, we'll call it SSRS for short. I took my knowledge of SSRS and I started learning Power BI on my own. And I took pieces from here and I took pieces from there. I took pieces from over here and pieces up and pieces down. And I brought all the information that I took to learn Power BI, and I created a course called Power of the BI. That's a long story short, but that's after I had been in the industry, worked for a couple of companies, and actually gotten certified in Power BI as well. As a matter of fact, I think I was one of the first ones to get certified in Power BI. Definitely one of the first ones to get certified in Microsoft Fabric. That's another conversation, but that is something that goes along with Power BI if you decide to take Power BI to the next level. Now, as I mentioned before, the reason why I got interested in the course initially is because it said I could make $80,000. Now, the job I had at the time, I was a fifth grade math teacher. I was teaching fifth grade math. And I think I had a sixth grade class. So I was teaching fifth and sixth grade math, right? Love the kids, love to teach. Actually love my job, to be honest. I wasn't making enough money. to do some of the things I wanted to do. Okay. I wasn't making the type of money that I could really buy a new car, less known buy the car that I wanted to buy. I wasn't able to take the trips when my boys were taking trips and going places and saying, hey, meet us in Vegas or meet us in Cancun or meet us in Miami. I was on a teacher salary, baby. I couldn't do all that. So I was like, nah, man, I can't make it. I got something going on. Boom, 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 boom. But that $80,000 could change that because I was making somewhere around $45,000. I just needed probably an extra $10,000 to kind of make life be a little bit smoother, right? Well, if you're out there on Instagram and you want to log into the Zoom link, you want to log into the Zoom, you can click the link in the most recent Instagram post and it'll take you to the Zoom link, and I'll get you logged in here to the Zoom as well. So you'll be live in Memorex or live in living color. I think I said that earlier today. But anyway, you can log into the actual Zoom and you can see what we got going on. So what ended up happening was I was making like 40, 42, $45,000, not quite 50, but all I really needed was about another $10,000, $12,000 to be a little bit safer from what I felt anyway, right? So that $80,000 kind of was a carrot. I was like, whoa, I said, this could work. Bottom line is, I ended up getting a job in Power BI after I completed the course. I finished the course in like 2 months and a couple of days. And then I did some research to really learn Power BI. It really took me about another 4 months to learn Power BI. And then I got my Power BI certification because I felt at the time, I was like, look, I really don't know what I'm doing. I'm out here teaching myself something. I'm out here, lying to these people like I really know what I'm really doing. So I ended up studying, getting the certification. So I was like, at minimum, I got the certification. So I got to at least get my foot in the door. Man, look at here. I put my resume out, my Power BI resume out, and I ended up getting the job like in less than a month. I mean, no, what the kids say, no cap. I ended up getting the job in less than a month. Now, my background is actually in construction. My degree is in construction and architecture, stuff like that. And the company that I actually got the job with was a consulting company that was trying to get a contract with a construction company. And basically, the construction company went to have Power BI reports built, and the consulting company. I mean, it was kind of like I was, the purple pigeon, or what they call me, the purple zebra or something like that. It's like something that's not normal. I had background in construction and I had a degree. I had a background in construction and I had a certification in Power BI and I had work experience in Power BI. Like, yo, this is great. Bottom line is ended up getting a job in Power BI for the consulting company and I was on that particular project. It was a 3-month project. So I quit my long-term job to take a 3-month project. Now, I looked at it like this. If I take this job for 3 months, if I get the contract extended for 6 months, I actually will be making more in 6 months than I would be making in a year on my current job. So it was kind of like a gamble. In this game, you got to bet on yourself, especially if you haven't had any experience in Power BI so far. You've got to bet on yourself. What I'm telling you is, um, I'm gonna put my if you decide to move along in the Power BI, I'm putting my money on you because I know what the market looks like. The market, I'll leave it alone. I know what the market looks like, and that's why I'm really pushing this product, pushing this course. So bottom line is, I ended up getting a gig, and what happened was I had a 3-month contract. At the 3-month mark, I went to the owner of the consulting company. Well, I went to my manager of the consulting company, who went to the owner, and I told him, I said, "Hey, man, I said, it's a 3-month project. I said, I'm not going to be done with this at least for another 3 months." So, and that was creating this one report, right? So he went to the owner. They went to the construction company. They got an extension. With that said, I was on the project for 6 months. So now my 3-month contract went to 6 months. So then at the 6-month mark, I went to him. I said, "Hey, I said I've got another job opportunity. If I said I got a full time, job opportunity, and if we're not going to go full time, I'm going to turn in my 2 weeks notice. Long story short, they was like, hey, we need you on this project. We need you here. Because by this time, now I've learned how to really perform Power BI work, but I learned it on the job, right? I learned it on the job. And that's the best place to learn, to be honest. And I was in the heat and I had in the fire and I had to learn it because if I did learn it, I was about to get fired if I didn't learn it, right? So they had to think that I was a super expert in Power BI. Now, was I? No. Did I learn the job? Yes. Um, my students don't have to do that. My mentees don't have to do that because I give them the game. I tell them what they need to have. We got a network base already built. So if you run into a roadblock, you run into something that you don't really know what you're doing, you got a quick network that you can tap into. Um, so that job ended up going from a 3 month contract to a 6 month contract to then becoming a full time job, right? Becoming a full time gig. Now, what it's that job? No, so as I said, when I was looking at the original course, it was $80,000. But when I got my first Power BI job, it was $105,000. So the offer for the 3 month contract was equivalent to $105,000 salary, right? So I done went from 42 to $45,000 a year teaching to $105,000. I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. This is absolutely insane. So what I ended up doing was, by this time, I'm starting to feel pretty good about about what I can do in Power BI. And it was Power BI at the time was relatively new, so I really was learning ahead of the curve because there were a lot of things that really wasn't defined at that point. So now I was like, hey, if I can do this for 1 gig, let me get two. So I ended up getting two, right? Now, not gonna go deep into the money. Not gonna go deep into the money because I do like money, but I don't want you to think that it's all about the money. But at the same time, um, if I tell you I had two jobs, just understand it were two six-figure jobs. Every job is a six-figure job, right? Ended up getting two jobs. And because of the amount of time that it took me to build a report, I was actually probably working maybe, I tell people like 97 minutes a day on one job. If I got one job, I'm working 97 minutes a day on an 8 hour job, right? So now you got two jobs. Now you're working 297 minutes. So now you write it 3 hours a day. I kind of pushed the limit a little bit. Bottom line is I went from the two jobs to three jobs. At one point, I had two jobs, three jobs, to four jobs. It's called job stacking, right? Regardless of how you look at it, you can say, well, that's not fair, that's not legal, that's not ethical. Look, I need to pay some bills, baby. I need to pay some bills. I need to take some trips that I wasn't able to take before. Trust, right? I needed to buy me a car I needed a new car, and I wanted to buy the car that I wanted to buy that I've been looking at buying all the time, right? Um, Bottom line is you can consider every job to be $100,000 job, a six-figure job. Now, I'm not going to tell you that you should go out there and job stack. I'm not. I'm just going to tell you that you should do whatever it takes in order for you to be successful, or whatever it takes in order for you not to be in a situation. But what it did for me was it allowed me to pay some bills, to pay off some credit cards, um, and not only was I making more money, not only did I get a chance to buy the car I want to buy and go on some of the trips that I've been dreaming about going on, but my credit score shot up because I had paid all my bills off. I got to the point where the credit card company was calling me on one time. Hey, Mr. Robinson, you owe us you owe us X amount of dollars. Hell, I started calling them like, hey, y'all ain't called me in a while. Real talk though, I did that to like three of them. But bottom line, credit score shot up, right? And I'm talking about crazy shot up, like incredible. Now, I'm not going to get into that. I do talk about some of that stuff in my course, and some of the things that you could benefit from credit wise. But I don't sell credit, and I don't do the credit piece. I just give you my experience on the credit, and I know that it works. It's nothing illegal, immoral, unethical. It's just if you pay the bills, it puts you in a situation. But the one thing that I'll leave that alone because I don't want to get into the credit piece. But bottom line is, that's how I got into that's how I got into Power BI. Then I decided to, hey, the course that I took, I said I wanted to pay somebody's tuition. I think that course cost me $2,000, and it was definitely $2,000 that I didn't have. Matter of fact, I had to borrow the $2,000 to take the course. But I said I wanted to pay somebody's tuition, and I ended up being an angel scholarship for a couple of people, and I don't even know who they are. But I ended up paying a couple of people's tuition in order to take the course because I knew what it did for me. Now, again, the course that I took is not the course that I teach, but it was a game changer. But Power BI for me was off the chain. It was in a whole other universe. So therefore, I decided to create this course called Power of the BI. Now, let's see. So 97% of Fortune 500 companies have now adopted Power BI, and it has a demand growth of 40%. What does that mean? 97% of the companies have adopted it, but there are not a lot of Power BI developers that are out there. Okay, there are not a lot of Power BI developers that are out there. In addition to, there are not a lot of Power BI developers that are out there that look like me. You know, black African American man. No, to be honest, I've never worked with uh, another African American Power BI developer. I work with some engineers and some IT developers, some IT engineers and computer science guys, but no Power BI developers. And I'm not saying Power BI is higher than those. I'm just saying that this is where the that the demand level, not just for me or us, but for just individuals from the United States in general as Power BI developers. Because what I began to run into recently is the first thing they ask me when I apply for a job is, "What's your citizenship?" Because if you are an American company, you don't want your data to get in the hands of someone else outside that's not from the United States. All things, a lot of things that happen. You can imagine what that looks like. If you're out there on Instagram and you would like to log into the Zoom, you can go to the most recent post, grab the Zoom link from the most recent post, and log into the Zoom, and I'll get you checked in here. So, with that said, there is not there's a high demand. There are thousands of jobs that are posted every day. What I do know is if there's a job, I didn't pull my email up because I would show you a lot of the jobs that I get on a daily basis. But if I apply for a job and I'm gonna say 99.997% of the time, if I apply for a job at 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm gonna have a call from that recruiter at about 8:15, 8:20. Now, at the latest, it's gonna be 9 o'clock. It's not going to be more than an hour. If I apply for a job, it's not going to be more than an hour. And when I say apply for a job, I'm talking about sending my resume in. I'm not talking about just typing on the keyboard. I'm talking about, I'm just sending you my resume. Yeah, I'm interested. Check it out. Here's my email. Here's my resume. Check it out. I'm going to get a call in an hour, less than an hour, guaranteed. Right? If you don't think that there are a lot of jobs that are out, I'm not going to say a lot. To call me to the test, go to LinkedIn, whenever you get a chance, go to LinkedIn, go to jobs, and type in Power BI. You will see many Power BI jobs on LinkedIn. And that's not where the jobs are, right? There are jobs on LinkedIn, but that's not where the majority of the jobs are. So, um, excuse me. So, I created the course called Power BI, Power of the BI. And as we see here, 97% of Fortune 500 companies have adopted Power BI. 40 there's a 40% demand growth. And again, just look at the numbers. 97% have adopted, but it's only a 40% demand growth. And the reason why it's not growing yet is because we're still needing Power BI developers. Um, Even those that have computer science degrees, there's no course in a major university called Power BI. Like if you're an accountant, there's a course called accounting. Or if you're a marketing, there's a course called marketing. If you're an engineer, there's a course called engineering. There's no course called Power. So no one is graduating with a Power BI degree. So there are guys in order to become, well, I'm going to say that. In order to get a Power BI job, you just need to know how to perform Power BI. And to get paid a little bit more, maybe a certification. I'll leave that there. I'll leave that there. This is Jasmine. Jasmine, of course, this is a cartoon picture of Jasmine, but this is actually one of my former students, and she actually had no IT information. Period. No IT degree. No computer science degree. I think she had a degree in psychology or something like that. And she came to me and said, "Hey, I don't know what to do with this stuff." Took her 16 weeks, and basically she is one of the best Power BI developers out there. Now, it says from beginning to data analyst. If you go to LinkedIn, if you type in data analyst or if you type in Power BI, it's pretty much the same job. The data analyst job and the Power BI job is the same job for the most part, depending on the company, but for the most part, terminology wise, description wise, it's pretty close to the same description. Um, what I'm saying is the jobs are available. The jobs are available. If you're looking for a job, even if you're not looking for a job, but if you know someone that's looking for a job and they're looking to acquire a skill set that will take them to the next level, this is where I believe this is where I believe they could propel themselves. I'm not saying that there are not other tech courses out there. I'm not saying that there are not other online courses out there. I'm not saying there are not other tech skills that individuals can learn. For me, this is proven, and it's proven because I've done it. I'm not trying to give you information on what I read. I'm not trying to go into the sciences of Fortune magazine. No, I'm telling you, this works. I did it. I went from a school teacher to what I would like to consider myself as one of the top Power BI developers in the world. Now, I'm not saying that to be braggadocious. I'm not saying that to seem confident or conceited or whatever the case may be. What I'm saying is, if I can do it, anybody can do it. And it doesn't take a tech background in order to do it. It's just only thing it takes is you want to make that loop and you want to be one of the best that's getting the job done. I'll leave that there. So that's Jasmine. The 16-week learning program. Now, I teach the course. It's a 16. My course is a 16-week course too. I have 2 modules per course, and if you complete 2 modules a week, which are to 32 modules of work, you will be able to complete the course as well. And I will try to pull. I don't know if I can pull it up yet or not, but no, I'm not gonna do that tonight because I didn't prepare for it. But at the end of the day, it's 32 modules. And I go from the very beginning, the very basics, the very, very basics of what you need to the human resource piece of understanding what your resume needs to look like, how to transfer your skills that you already have into Power BI skills on your resume, and then putting you into a job portal to where when you submit your resume, you're going to be receiving phone calls automatically. Now, when I say automatically, again, I'm saying, within an hour, let's just say 2 hours. Well, Once your resume gets into the system and gets hot and gets boiling, then you will start receiving those calls immediately. But you've got to give it time to marinate into the system. Bottom line is, I'm putting guarantees on you're going to get Power BI jobs. You're going to get Power BI recruiters to start contacting you. Now, what you put in is what you're going to get out. I can hook your resume up right now. They can start calling you. You can be marinating and start getting those calls within 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days, and then every hour when you put those joints in. But if you don't know the work, if you ain't put the work in to really understand what Power BI is and really become a good Power BI developer, you're not gonna get the job because you're not gonna be able to talk the lingo and you're not gonna be able to perform the work, right? But if you get out there and you bust your head and you put that work in 4 months, you're gonna be ready. And I could probably get you ready to even have a certification, within 2 months after the 4 months. So in the 6 month period, you could be ready. You could be ready to do the work in 4 months and have your certification at the end of 6 months. Not 6 months plus the 4 months, 2 months plus the 4 months, which would be 6 months. I bet on me when it comes to that. If you're out there on Instagram and you want to log into the Zoom, please just go to the most recent post, grab the link, the Zoom link, and then you can log in you can join in here on the Zoom as well. So that's within the 16-week program. Now, to be honest, at the level that you probably at right now, I don't even push the 16-week program because it's rigorous. Okay, it is rigorous because I like to believe that once you get out of the program, you are able to go out there and get the work done and feel good about yourself and not have imposter syndrome. Like you shouldn't be there. Because I'll be honest, when I first started working in data, I did have imposter syndrome. And some people call it imposter syndrome. I heard another person call it insecurity. You can call it what you want, but it was something I'd never done before. And I was like, I didn't quit my job to do this. And I'm not necessarily sure that I can get over on these guys, make them believe that I can get this work done. But what I'm saying is in 4 months, 16 weeks, going through this program, you will be able to go out there and do the work. You're going to feel confident in it. And if you want to get the certification, you can. If you don't want to get the certification, you don't have to. Let's see here. Transform your career, transform your life. Depends on what you need. Depends on what you're here for. Depends on what is it going to take in order for you to call it a transformation? Is it just another job? Is it being able to work remote? Is it being able to work hybrid? For me, being a school teacher, I couldn't work remote being a school teacher. Okay, kids in the classroom. I couldn't even work hybrid being a school teacher. Again, kids in the classroom, right? So the transformation for me could have been, I want to work remote or work hybrid. The transformation for me could have been, I just want to make 10, 15, 20, 30, $40,000 more. That could have been my transformation. Whatever the transformation is for you, that's what the transformation is for you. I know for me, I actually went to Turks and Caicos. And at that time I had 3 jobs. I took all 3 computers with me. Right. When I crossed over into custom, they looking like, dude, why you got 3 computers? But bottom line is, I was able to do my work while I was out on the beach in Turks and Caicos with 3 computers. Right. I was able to go to Cancun. Same thing. I think I had 4 jobs when I went to Cancun. So that's for me. That's transformative. I was able to do some things that I wasn't normally able to do. Not necessarily just talking about the money, talking about just being able to do some things that I wasn't able to do previously. So whatever it takes for you to call your transformation, I mean, you have to determine what your transformation is and what challenges you need to overcome in order to feel as if you can perform this particular type of work. Now, there are some limiting beliefs. There are some limiting beliefs that, hey, I'm not able to learn a brand new technology or something brand new because I'm just not able to. I don't have the time. I wasn't good in math. I wasn't good in science, so this won't be good for me. That's a limiting belief. If you believe that, you're not going to be able to do it. But if you say, hey, I can do whatever I want to do, that I put my mind to, you can get this done. Trust me. Again, I was an elementary school teacher, fifth and sixth grade math. If I can do it, you can do it. I'm just a little country boy from Arkansas. So I know some of you big city slickers out there from, Chicago and Dallas and Atlanta. I mean, I know y'all can take this thing and wrap it up and run with it, baby. I know you can. But we've got to get rid of those limiting beliefs. You don't have a computer science degree, an IT degree. Listen, that has nothing to do with that. That has nothing to do with you. Okay, that has nothing to do with you. So whatever it is, whatever you're coming up with, is saying, "Hey, I'm not able to do that." You got to get rid of that. I can't afford another course. I can't do another course. Listen, you can't afford if you can't afford not to. Okay, because this could be life changing, game changing. But I'm not. I'm not. I'm going to leave that alone. That's for another day. That's for another day. But it's the power of the mindset. You've got to believe it. You got to commit to it. And if you believe it and you commit to it, you can achieve it. Guaranteed. I'm telling you, you've got to do it now. I know I told you before that I was spending 9, 10 hours a day. You don't have to spend 9, 10 hours a day, right? Really, probably about 45 minutes a week. Probably about 90 minutes a week. Probably about 90 minutes a week, 45 minutes a module, 45 minutes a module, 2 modules a week, 90 minutes, an hour and a half out of your week. You should be able to complete the course in about 16 weeks if you were doing the 16-week course. Now, again, I'm not pushing the 16-week course on you because you may not be ready for the 16-week course. I'm not going to tell you that you're not 100% ready for it because I really don't know. But it's rigorous, and I don't want you to jump out into something that you really are not too serious about right now because I did it before. I had a couple of people sign up when I first created the course, and they were like, "Man, this is too much. This is too hard." And I didn't really have time to play rah rah cheerleader. So I was like, "Okay, well, cool. Look, here's your money back, right?" So if you're out there on Instagram, if you're out there on Instagram and you would like to join in on the Zoom so you can see what's going in, what we're doing on the Zoom, you are more than welcome to do so. Power BI skills, changing lives. When it comes to Power BI is hitting every industry. I like to say it's hitting every industry, every company, every department, every cubicle. Every industry, every company, every department, every cubicle. Now, I don't think I said before, but the BI in Power BI stands for business intelligence. So if you haven't been sleeping under a rock over the last 2.5 years, AI is artificial intelligence, BI is business intelligence. Business intelligence was known to man, known to general man, a lot earlier than AI. BI is pretty much the artificial intelligence of business, but it's not necessarily artificial. It's actually the data that the company actually has, whereas artificial intelligence really is not artificial either because it's going out and it's grabbing data, and then sometimes it is making up information. But business intelligence is never making up information. It's the actual data that a company has within their database or databases. So it's in retail, it's in industry, it's in automotive, it's in medical, it's in healthcare, it's everywhere. It's in every industry. It's going to hit every company. It's going to hit every department, and it's going to hit every cubicle. Now, the last three, the company, the department, and the cubicle, it's going to be a minute. It may take the next 3 to 5 years before it really lands on the company. It may take the next 5 to 6 years before it lands in every department and every cubicle. But it's going to be as common as Microsoft Word and Microsoft Excel. If you're not able to perform the work in Power BI, probably within the next 5, 6 years, you're probably are going to work yourself out of a job. Okay. Right now, you're ahead of the curve. Right now, you're ahead of the curve. But this is a technology that Microsoft is banking on. And if Microsoft is banking on it, you best believe other companies are going to fall in line. I'll let that be there. If you're out there on Instagram, if you're out there on Instagram and you want to log into the Zoom and catch the webinar as we are going through, you are more than welcome to go to the most recent post that I have out in the comment. There is a Zoom link, and you can take that Zoom link and you can log right in. So, dun, 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 dun. Now, again, this is a 16, what I've created is a 16-week course. I'm going to skip through here because, again, I'm not trying to sell the 16-week course. I'm not trying to sell you on the 16-week course. If we circle back and you say, hey, you know, you're interested in the 16-week course, we could talk about that. But I don't want to put you in a situation to one, it could overstimulate you and you feel as if you don't really know what's going on and you done got yourself into a situation that you really don't want to be in or really not ready to be in. But at the end of the day, what I want you to know is that Power BI awaits, right? And for what we've got going on here at Power of the BI, let's see, I want to actually go through an actual Power BI report. And I know we're down to like 34 minutes. So we're going to move through here fairly quickly. So with my course, Power to BI, my course, Power of the BI, is a 16-week course. I've got several different layers that I teach with several different layers of courses that I teach in Power BI. The 16-week course is the highest course that I teach for individuals. Then I have my VIPs, my VIP course, and my course that I have set, my commercial course, to where I go in and do training for companies. But what I also have to introduce Power BI in addition to this particular webinar, again, as you can see, it's a totally free webinar. Um, what I have to for individuals is my 5-day challenge. Now, with the 5-day challenge, which it actually is 5 days, it's 5 days, it's an hour and a half, and I'm going to go through this pretty quick. Again, I'm not trying to sell you on the 5-day challenge as well. I'm just giving you the information. We talked about the 16-week course, but I'm going to tell you about the 5-day challenge because what I really want to do is get to Power BI report and go through a Power BI report so that you can really see what it looks like. But with the 5-day challenge, it is 5 days. It's an hour and a half a day. And what I promised everyone this morning on the live session was that I was going to have a discount code. Something's getting in my eye. I was going to have a discount code or promo code. So if you're on the live this morning, if you're out there on Instagram and you want to come over to the Zoom link, go to the most recent post, and the Zoom link is in the comments of the most recent post. But what I promised everyone in the live this morning was I've got a promo code that I gave to everyone in on the live session this morning. If you stick with me to the end, what I want you to do is text me the promo code that I gave you this morning, and I am giving a 10% discount off of the 16-week program. Now, we would have to talk about the 16-week program because I don't want you to jump into the 16-week program. Let me back up and say it a different way. The 16-week program is $4,000. I don't want you to sign up for a $4,000 course and you're not prepared to be dedicated to the program. But if you have the Zoom link, not the Zoom link, but the promo code from the live this morning, there is a 10% discount awaiting for you, a 10% discount awaiting for you at the end of this webinar. to where you can get a 10% discount off of the 16-week program. But with that said, stick with me to the end, and you may be able to find even more discounts. But my 5 day challenge is basically the 16-week program. The 5 day challenge is basically the 16-week program put into 5 days. Now, can you learn Power BI in 5 days? I think you can get the type of knowledge that you're searching for as far as what Power BI is, what Power BI does, and building out a Power BI report. But it won't get you, the whole scale of the certification, the potential for the certifications, um, the resume, and the actual portfolio of projects, but it'll get you where you need to be if you're just trying to understand Power BI, you're trying to like get hands-on experience with Power BI. The 5 day challenge would be a great thing for you. And we'll talk about the 5 day challenge before we get into the Power BI report. I just want to make sure I'm not skipping too fast through the report that I created, the presentation I created, so that we can get to the report. I already gave you my backstory on how I got into Power BI and that deal, so I'm not going to spend much more time there. Why I'm the mentor to get you there. Now, what I want you to do first is this. I don't want what I want you to do is I want you to wipe out your mind that anything that I say for the next 3 to 4 to 5 minutes is braggadocious, conceited, or arrogant or anything like that. I'm just going to give you facts, right? I'm one of the why I'm the mentor to get you there. I'm one of the best Power BI developers that most people have seen, and I'll show you one or two of my reports here in a little bit. But I'm one of the best Power BI developers that most people in the industry have seen. One of that have seen their work, right? In addition to, as I said, I've got a certification, a Microsoft certification in as a Power BI developer, a Microsoft certification as a data engineer, a data analyst, artificial intelligence associate, a Microsoft Fabric engineer, and I want to say I got 7 certifications. I just routed off 5, so there's 2 more I can't even think of. As I told you before, those certifications don't mean that I'm good, because what means that I'm good is the type of work that I produce, but it means that I'm knowledgeable. Okay, it means that I'm knowledgeable. I don't know if you've gone to college or anything like that, and you learn some things, and you're like, but what this got to do? What this got to do with real life, right? Some things you just got to be knowledgeable about. Well, some things it's just good to be knowledgeable about, and the stuff that you want to get paid at is good that you be good at doing that work. And what I'm saying is, I got both, and I teach my mentees to have both as well. Let's see here. We've already talked about internal beliefs and limiting beliefs, so I'm not going to go any deeper into that. External beliefs, pretty much the limiting beliefs. The limiting beliefs and external beliefs I've already talked about. When I say limiting beliefs, internal beliefs, and external beliefs, things that you believe that you're not that the reason why you wouldn't be able to be good at becoming a Power BI developer, why you can't get into Power BI development, all of those things that we talked about that you're not good, you're not don't have experience, you don't have the college degree, um, all of those things that we talked about that limit you from believing that you could be good at this. These are all of those beliefs. So really, I probably could have waited till I got to these slides, but at the end of the day, we talked about it, so I'm going to skip it. Transformation story from doubt to data dominance. I talked to you about Jasmine. Jasmine went from I think either psychology or sociology to she's dominating. She's dominating data business intelligence now, and that could be you. And like I said before, Power BI is going to dominate every industry, every company, every department, and every cubicle. What does that mean? Regardless of what job you have right now, regardless of what industry you're in, we can create Power BI reports specifically for your industry because every industry is going to need this. This is, and even if your company is not using it right now, you can be able to create these reports, go back to your company and say, hey, this is what I can do. This is what I can provide now. And I'm telling you, you'll be off. You're going to be more than a rock star. And if they decide to say, hey, well, we're not ready for that yet, yo, not only can you, once you can create a Power BI report for your industry and your company, you can create a Power BI report for any industry and for any company. Now, you could take that information and do whatever you want to do with it, but you're not limited. 16-week instructor-led course. We talked about that. Comprehensive course instructions. So that's pretty much the same thing we've been talking about as well that I introduced before as far as the actual course. Unlike the earning of potential earning salary outcomes. So what I like to tell my students or tell my students, what I like to tell my mentees is we don't take jobs for less than $95,000. Right? Anything less than 95,000, we don't take that. Don't put yourself in a situation to where you have to take less than 95,000. Now, if you're in a situation you just have a job, you had a job for a minute, you just gotta get whatever you can get. I mean, yeah, just grab it. But you're gonna be they're gonna be using you and abusing you if you take a job less than 95,000. The average salary that my mentees take is $105,000 a year. Okay, and that's about industry standard. That's about industry standard, about $105,000 a year, 3% cost of living raise. Some companies are offering 10% bonuses. And the way that they give the 10% bonuses is they give you half the bonus at the 6 month mark. And it's typically in June, and then the other half in December. So you got a bonus that comes in June and a bonus that comes in December, which is kind of like a Christmas bonus or um, I wouldn't say annual bonus, but that's not your annual raise. That's just a bonus, right? So if you're making $105,000 a year, that's like right at about $10,000 somewhere around there that you'll be getting for the year, and then you'll be getting $5,000 of that in June, $5,000 in December. So if you make 105,000, really you're making 115,000. But every company doesn't offer a bonus, but the average salary should be the salary that you should take coming out of this program and saying you're ready and you got the resume, you got the portfolio, and we do help you create the portfolio. You should be having somewhere around 52 to $55 an hour, right? And the reason why I say that is because you could get a contract like I had a contract. So you could be getting a contract or you could be getting hired on direct. A lot of times, it'll be a contract initially because, you know, they want to take it, they want to see, if it's really the hire that they want to make, and you get to decide if that's really the job you want to take. Typically it's about a 6 month contract, but I'd say 3 months, you can be up if you want to. But the main thing is looking at that salary. The salary is about a 52 to $55 an hour. I want to say that's somewhere from 105 to $110,000 per year if it was a salary job. That's where you want to be. You want to come out of this program making 52 to $55 an hour. Can you make less? Yes, you can. Do I suggest you make less? No, I don't. Do I recommend you make less? No, I don't. Do I recommend you make a lot more? No, because if you take one of those 115, 120 jobs, 115,000 to $120,000 jobs, which is I want to say like $57, $60 an hour, the expectations of you become a lot higher, become a lot greater, and then you really put yourself behind the eight ball of really trying to figure this thing out while you're making this money. Look, take your time, get in the game, work it for maybe 6 to 9 months. You will know a lot more than what you think you know or could know in 6 to 9 months. Then start looking at those 120, 125, $130,000 jobs. Then start looking at having maybe 2 jobs or 3 jobs. But starting out, just take the one job, make 105, $110,000 a year. Be cool with that, right? Now, if you can't move off of that, you really need more. Hey, I can't tell you that you should not. But the average salary that my guys are coming out with is $105,000 a year. Okay, with the Power BI certification, um, typically with a Power BI certification, you're gonna probably make well, you could have an increase of anywhere from $8,000 to $15,000 in addition to what that base is. So say you got 110, you could get $125,000 job coming out. Again, given that it's still your first job, I don't suggest that. Even though your value may be at 125, I would say work for about 9 months and then I would say work for about 9 months and then go in and after the big money. And here we're seeing what the accelerated salary earnings would be. You can do the math. I'm not going to go into that right now. 'Cause I do want to go into the Power BI report. I talked to you about the five the 5 day challenge. I talked to you about the 16-week program. This is the next level up, which is my VIP after after the 16 weeks, which is well, no, this is after my VIP. The VIP is right below here. This is the elite mentorship. A lot comes with this, but we're not going to go into this because there are a couple of steps, couple of phases you would need to be at. Optimizing your resume is a $5,000 value. But coming as a participant in the course, you get this totally free. As a participant in a 16-week course, you get this totally free. The total program value is $78,000. It's nowhere close to that, but this is just getting what the total program value is. Potential salary is 80 to 120,000. We just said 105, 110 is where you want to be. The actual course itself is $4,000. Here's the thing: for those that have the code from this morning's live, you get a 10% discount. If you follow Power of the BI on Instagram, that's another 10% discount. If you follow Power of the BI on TikTok, that's another 10% discount. So now we're at 30%. If you follow Power BI, if you are subscribed to Power BI on YouTube, that's another 10%. That's a 40% discount. And if you follow Power BI on LinkedIn, that's another 10% discount. At the end of the day, that's a 50% discount off of the program package of $4,000. So really, rather than $4,000, it'll be $2,000 if you follow all those different areas and you subscribe to YouTube and you have the link from this morning. But I'm not going to beat that dead horse. Now, what I do have before we get into the report, the Power BI 5 day challenge, which is 5 days a week. Well, I'm sorry, yeah, it's 5 days a week for an hour and a half a day. And we go through and we beat down this Power BI thing to make you really feel good about what you know and being able to add that to your resume. It's a $300 value. It's a $300 value just for being here. It's 25% off, which is $225. If you want to spend 5 days with me, at an hour and a half a day, um, and now that is a course. That's not individual hours. It's a course time that'll be set. But I will give you that information before we close out on the report itself after looking at the report. But bottom line is the 5 day challenge is $225. It's 25% off of the $300, and it's 5 days, an hour and a half per day. Let me see here. What I want to do now is I want to open up a Power BI report and just show you what a Power BI report is. if you're out there on LinkedIn, I mean, not LinkedIn, but if you're out there on Instagram and you want to log in for the next 15 minutes or so, as we go through the Power BI report, you're more than welcome to do so. The most recent post out there in the comment section, I have the Zoom link to the webinar. You can grab that Zoom link from the comment section, and you can log into the webinar. And I think I moved this section. Well, I moved this link, so let me open it up somewhere else. So the first one we're going to look at is going to be Coca-Cola. Now, all of the data that you're going to see and all of these reports, these are not reports that I did for individual companies. These are reports that I created for portfolio basis. And basically what you would be doing as students in Power of the BI, the 16-week course, you would be making 5 of these, maybe even 8, depending on, it'll be a minimum of 5 to 8. But in the 5-day challenge, if you decided to participate in the 5-day challenge, you would be creating one report in the 5-day challenge. But this report here, this is a report that I call Coca-Cola. And basically, I just took the Coca-Cola logo. I used the colors of Coca-Cola, and everybody knows that Coca-Cola's colors are red and white. And I built out a Power BI report. Now, what a Power BI report is, Power BI is basically a data visualization tool. Data visualization, which means you want to be able to analyze data and KPIs. I mean, you know, the code, not the code, but the the term that everybody's using now, the cute term that everybody's using now is KPI. What's the KPI? We want to look at the KPIs. Bottom line is, the Power BI developer, that's what you do. You create the KPIs, right? Using Power BI, a Power BI report. So basically, each one of these visuals on here is a visualization, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That really shouldn't be there. 6, 7, and the logo 8. We've got 8 different visualizations on this report. And basically, all we really did was, if I select this visual, I can see that the data that's being used in this visualization is the product. We're using the product ID, and we're counting the sales. We're counting the sales ID. And all we did was, we took this product ID and we just dragged it over here. And we took this sales ID and we dragged it over here, right? All it is dragging and dropping. In a simple term, all it is dragging and dropping. Now, this particular report here, with this particular section of the report, is actually.
All we see is the 25% off screen right now.
You say the 25% screen? Oh, okay. Let's see here. My apologies. Let's do this. Stop sharing here. And let's bring this over. And let's start sharing again. Are you seeing the screen now?
Yeah, we're good now. Thank you.
Okay, my apologies. So I'll start over. So here what we have is a Coca-Cola report. Again, this is just data that I created. It's not something that's coming actually from Coke. It's just a report that I created, one for demonstration purposes, and two for portfolio basis. And basically, in the 16-week program, mentees in the 16-week program, they will create 5 to 8 reports to create a portfolio, so that when we interview, we don't just want to interview verbally and say, yes, I can do this and I can do that. And yes, I understand. No, we want to pull out our projects. We want to show these guys, hey, this is what we do. Right. And trust me, it wows them every time. As long as you put out a good product, it wows them every time. So in the 16-week program, you'll create 5 to 8 of these. In the 5-day challenge, you'll create one of these. But at the end of the day, this is a report that I created that I call the Coca-Cola report. Attempting to use the colors of Coca-Cola, attempting to use the logo of Coca-Cola. But what we understand here is that Power BI is a data visualization tool. It's data visualization. All that means is that the report is built of visuals, because when the C-suite guys go in and they want to look at a Power BI, when they want to look, the C-suite guys go in and they want to look at a report, they want to dive right into what they're looking for. They want to see what they're looking for and not necessarily have to go through 5 or 6 Excel spreadsheets and pivot tables and things like that. Here, now, we've heard the term dashboard, and basically a Power BI report and a dashboard, and many times they're used interchangeably, but they're not the same. A Power BI report doesn't so the report is what you build. It's what you have on your desktop and what you build out the dashboard with. But then what you do is you go out, so the report is built here, and then you'll publish this report. And when you publish it, then it'll go out to what's called Power BI service. We're not going to go there here, but it'll go out to Power BI service. Then you can create an app from Power BI service, and don't let that fool you. It's not really that complicated. Microsoft has really simplified this thing, but you can in a click of about 3 buttons, you can create an app, and then you can send that app to the individuals within the organization that want to see the report, and they can take the different visuals. For instance, this is a bar chart. They can take this bar chart. This is a matrix. They can take this matrix, but they say, hey, I don't want to see this gauge, or I don't want to see this column chart. All I want to see is the bar chart, and all I want to see is the matrix. So now everybody in the organization can create their own specific pieces of what they want to see. And basically that is what they would be doing then, is pinning their own dashboard. So a lot of times when we see this, we say, oh, it's a dashboard. No, it's actually a report, but we'll call it a dashboard if you really don't know. But at the end of it, I like for my mentees to know, hey, there's a difference between a dashboard and a report. So, but at the end of the day, what we counted here was 8 different visuals. We got 1, which is the matrix, 2, which is the column chart. The bar chart. 3, which is the column chart. 4 is the gauge. Then we've got a calendar, which is 6. We called 7 with the the slicer, and we have a card, which is 8, and actually we have the logo, which is 9. The logo is considered to be a visual too. These 2 deals here, I should have taken them off, but I didn't. They would be visuals, they would be buttons, but we're actually not using them. But what I was showing before, I didn't realize you were able to see the screen, was if I click the matrix visual to see what is here. Well, let me go back to the bar. When I click the bar, I see now that the items that are used for the bar chart is the product ID and the sales ID. And because I see that this green check mark is at the sales table, and I see that the green check mark is from the product ID and the sales ID, I know that all I had to do was drag here and drag here. And basically that's what created this particular visual. And that's what all of the visuals within Power BI, that's how all the visuals in Power BI are created. Here on this matrix, I can come to the matrix. I see that this matrix is comprised of a products table. It's got a green check mark. It's got a green check mark at the sales transactions. And basically, these are the 3 items that are used within the products. And if I expand here, these are the two items that are used from this particular table. So you say, well, how do I know which columns? Because these are tables and everything under the tables are columns. So how do I know which columns to use in those particular visualizations? And that's kind of where, the course does come into play because, yeah, you could say you could create the Power BI report. You could get lucky and drag and drop the right information, but at the same time, the odds of you dragging and dropping probably is not going to be 100. Probably even, I'm gonna say 50, probably even 10. You're probably not going to hit it. It takes some type of training. But this particular section of the Power BI report is called the actual report view. This is the front end. This is actually the report view. If I come down, I click this icon here. This is called the data view. The data view shows me all the tables that are in this report. And if I expand all the reports, all the tables, it shows me all of the different columns that's inside of this report. Now, as I said before, I really didn't want to get into coding, but in order to be a good Power BI developer, you do have to do some coding, right? Because that's what makes Power BI unique is that it's robust and you can make that thing do what it do. I mean, it's crazy, but there's the coding language for Power BI called DAX, right? DAX, Data Analytics Expression, and basically this is coding for DAX. Now, if you look at the green is all commented out. This is information I can delete and nothing and let me do it right now because I don't just tell you. I can take out all of the green and it does nothing. It means nothing. The green was just notes for me. It were comments. But this is what the coding looks like for Power BI. It's really this simple. This is one line of code, but it's doing a whole lot of stuff. If I come down here to the next measure, this is a fairly complicated code, right? It's complex. Now, when you talk about C and C#, C++, Python, this is nothing, right? We talk about one, we count the if, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We talking about 7 lines and probably we talked about one piece of code per line. It's just that simple, right? So these are things that I actually teach as well inside of Power of the BI. It's just so again, this is actually not a table. This is where I have all my measures or my coding set in here. But all of these are tables, and we can see the different columns within the tables. If I expand here, I can see that this is the actual table. If I click here, it's going to give me an abbreviation, which is one of the columns. If I say sum of Coke, which is another column, and I said sum because it's showing me Sigma notation, and country, Pepsi, so all these are all columns. Then if I come here, this is what makes everything jive. This is what makes all the reports, because with a Power BI report, you want it to be interactive. And how you make it interactive, you want to create a relationship between the tables. And Power BI is built off of what's called a star schema. So at the center, the table at the center of the star schema is what the majority of the tables have relationships with. So all of these lines here are showing relationships between different tables. Now, every table, given that this products table is at the center of the star schema, doesn't necessarily mean that all of the tables have to be have a relationship with it. It just means that this table has a relationship, and because this table has a relationship with this table, it's now given a relationship to the center of the star. One other thing I want to show you here is there's another page. So this is the sales page, and this is actually the marketing page. So if you can remember the Pepsi taste test, I'm calling it the Coca-Cola taste test. So now we're looking at different countries of how people scored in choosing Coke or Pepsi doing the Coke taste test. The darker the colors, because we've got a color saturation. The darker the colors within the states is telling us that we have more people chose Coke, and the lighter colors are showing more people chose Pepsi. And I actually built this with the United States. I built it with Canada, Mexico, Brazil, and the UK. And the UK. So, with that said, we are hitting up on the 9 o'clock hour. And as I said before, I did not want to take you guys much further than, looks like I missed a comment or two. Let's see. Okay, good deal. So that's what I want to do. I want to show you that if you are interested in the 5 day challenge, if you're interested in the 5 day challenge, you can just message me on DM me on Instagram at Power of the BI. If you're interested in joining the 5 day challenge, that's $225 to join the 5 day challenge where you'll get to build out a Power BI report and go through this thing end to end. So with that said, I thank you guys for joining me tonight. Again, I don't want to go much longer than 9 o'clock, but I thank you for joining in, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next video.
Hey, before you go,
Yeah,
is this like dummy data, or is this from an API, or was it like
this is dummy data. I created. I made up
okay.
all
All right. I mean, my background right now, I'm a SharePoint admin,
of it.
uh, and I was looking into Power BI, Power Automate, and Power Apps, and kind of all incorporating it. I mean, I'm trying to just level up from the position I'm at currently.
Right.
Uh, I'm like a junior SharePoint admin, so I just recently got aware of like Power BI and what it actually does, and like kind of doing my research and came across your profile on Instagram.
Yeah.
Um, currently I'm studying for Network Plus, so I'm really definitely interested in the stuff that you have here. But I'll probably I've been preparing for this certification for a while, way longer
Right.
than I should have been.
Yeah. I
So,
understand.
I definitely want to circle back around and possibly get into your mentorship because it seems pretty thorough.
Cool.
Um,
You
so
do you follow me on Instagram or YouTube?
I'm pretty sure I follow you on Instagram. I'll go follow you on YouTube right now, actually.
Yeah, I've got a lot of end-to-end reports out there on YouTube. I'm talking about like I call them Fortune 500 Fortune 500 reports or Fortune Money Mondays.
Yes.
I've created some dummy data for well Fortune 500 companies or Fortune 1000 companies
Yeah.
and built them out end to end. And a couple of them I actually built them out from um, using the K1 data, the Q1 data from some of the companies.
Okay.
But you just hit me up. If you got a question, you just hit me on either one of them. It's fine. I typically respond. You
And
got, I mean, I'm not, holding any information hostage. And you don't have to join the course. You got questions, just let me know. And I can point you in some of the directions. But I understand what you're saying as far as the certification you're studying for, and
yeah.
trying to get that knocked out before jumping into something else.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to, I've been a chronic person that like juggled so many things. Like my background is in graphic design, but I've done
Mhm.
web and I basically taught myself web design for like 3 years. Um, and was trying to get into that, but then I got an admin job at a nonprofit, and then it just, you get a job and you think it's going to be one thing, it turns into something
Yeah,
else. And I'm like,
I
oh man, like, I'm doing everything else besides actual coding. But I do have I've done like full stack projects, work with APIs and a lot of different stuff. Even though I haven't been doing that for a while now. I started off in IT just as a service desk and then kind of transition into the position I'm in now. So I'm basically just trying to, you know, stack my portfolio as far as acquiring more skills and just being able to make some more income.
No, totally understand.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Totally
yeah,
understand.
yeah. So for your YouTube channel, it's under Power of the BI, or is it something
Yeah,
different?
it's all one word. Power of the BI, all one word.
Okay, no doubt. All right. Well, I thank you for your time, and I'll probably be getting back to you.
Okay, cool. Thank you. You guys have a good night.
All right, take care, man.
Bye bye.